We are going to continue with lettering. We created these two rows at the top of our header, and this is what we are going to write in those rows. In the first row, I want you to write Yıldız Technical University Faculty of Architecture, and in the second row, you are supposed to write Department of Architecture, Architectural Presentation Techniques course. This is the heading, but when you are writing, this should be your handwriting, but you should create your letters exactly like this. Try to create your letters exactly like this. Imagine that you are not writing a text. You are drawing every letter one by one. You are drawing the letters, and there are some tips that that can make it easier for you. When you're drawing your letters, first you are going to draw an inclined line, a freehand. You are not using your squares here. Just move your hand freely on the paper, but you are going to use these two very thin and gray lines as the borders for your lettering. This is what you are going to do at the beginning. I can show you it like this. You have this very thin and gray line, the first line, and the second one. These are your guiding lines so that you can fix your letters between these borders. And when you take your pencil, you are just moving your hand freely. You are not supposed to use your squares here. Just draw the first letter, Y. Draw it like this. Start from this upper line, finish it at the middle, and draw another line, inclined line. And here you need to draw your last line. So you get a letter Y. And then you are going to do the I. Start from the top and then go down. Try to do as perpendicular as you can. Because I'm using my mouse right now, it's not good, but when you are using your pencil on a paper, it will be easier for you. And your third letter, you are going to draw an L, one vertical letter and horizontal letter. After that, you are going to draw a D, a vertical line here. It shouldn't pass the border like this, and a half circle like that. Again, it's not good. I shouldn't pass the border. And then another I and Z. One horizontal, one inclined, and last horizontal. So you get your first word, Yıldız. Imagine that you are drawing your letters. You are not writing. And while you are drawing, please be careful about not doing these mistakes. Your letters should be continuous. It shouldn't be fragmented like this. You see, this is a bad example. There are tiny fragments and tiny gaps. However, all of your letterings should contain continuous lines. It shouldn't be fragmented like this. This is a right example, right? Look, here we need to have a perfectly vertical line. However, we get different angles in this bad example. Again, we need to have a continuous line for E. Here we have gaps and fragments. It shouldn't be like that. Another important point, all of your letters should be perpendicular to the horizontal lines you have already created. It shouldn't be vertical like this. You are not supposed to write italic. You need to create regular fonts. It shouldn't be inclined like this, either to the right or to the left. So the correct way of doing is this. Try to create perpendicular lines. Don't forget you have a border here, the gray line you have created, and all of your letterings should be perpendicular. like this. Okay, this is important. Also, your letters should be symmetrical. When you draw an imaginary axis here, this side of the letter A should be equal to the other side, to the right side. This length of T should be equal to this length on the right side. Again, this angle of M, this inclined line, should be equal to the other part. This is what we are looking for. Try to create as symmetrical as you can. The width of your letters should be as equal as they can. It shouldn't be like this. You have a width here. Let's say that this is A millimeters. You are not supposed to measure them one by one, obviously, but just keep it with your eyes. Try to do as similar as you can, but without any rulers or measuring. Let's say that this is A millimeters. You almost get an A millimeter, so it's good. But this time here, you have this width. It's not good. You shouldn't do that. You are looking for A millimeter again for every letter. And it shouldn't be wider than A either, like maybe this wide. It shouldn't be like that. So you are trying to make your letters as equal as you can. As this example, A millimeter, A millimeter, A millimeter, they are all equal. And when you place your letters to form the words, the width of gaps between letters should be as equal as you can. It shouldn't be like this. This is a bad example. You are looking for as equal gaps as you can. This is a good example. Try to see it with your eyes without measuring again. You are not supposed to use your rulers when you are lettering. You are just freehand drawing your letters and placing them according to your eyes. Just trust your eyes here, but try to remember that you are looking for equal gaps between each letter so that you will have a nice word. And this rule goes for same for the gaps between each word when you are creating a sentence. Like we have a word here, a wide gap, another word here, but this time a narrow gap. This is not good. This is not what you want. Again, you want exact same gaps, but without measuring, just trusting your eyes will be enough for you. And in time, you can create your own lettering style. This is the basic lettering that you start with. But if you keep practicing, I advise you to do this exercise as much as you can. Whenever you have the opportunity, just take out your notebook and practice your lettering. And while practicing, you are supposed to try to apply all these rules as good as you can. Try to aim for a better level each time so that in time you will develop your handwriting and you will find that you can bend these rules to create your own style. Like this is a very nice architectural hand lettering. You can copy them, copy it if you want. And this is not writing. Again, I'm repeating it. This is not writing. You are not writing letters. You are not writing words. You are drawing letters. You are drawing words. And you need to train your eye and hand so that in time you will get this muscle memory, and you will have a very nice hand lettering. You are looking for proportions here. That is what you are aiming for, trying to create a nice text with suitable proportions. When I say proportions, I am talking about dimensions, the relationships of dimensions, like the height of your lettering and the height of the gaps, the width of your lettering and the width of the gaps. All these relations, if they are proportional, it will look very nice to the eye. And as the architect, that's your main goal. And these are some very nice examples. They are all handwritings. And this is from a coffee shop. These letters were drawn on a blackboard with chalk, and it's very hard to keep it in line like this. But if you train regularly, if you exercise regularly, then you will get this result. And this is very interesting in my opinion. This is what I have seen when I was surfing in the internet. I saw these images, and these are taken. These are the photos of meeting notes of a CEO, and that CEO. He is taking notes like this whenever there's an important meeting. Instead of writing all the meeting notes, he is creating those kind of charts, let's say, and they are all hand drawn, hand letter, without using any tools, rulers, or without measuring. And all of his notes are like this. It's very, very nice. And he is, in fact, the CEO of a firm called Design Impact Group. So with lots of training, you can get there. You can have a very nice lettering technique. And there is a video that I want to show you on YouTube. You can find it easily.
Hi, I'm Doug Pat, and this is How to Architect.
Actually, this is a channel, and he is creating a series of videos called How To. It starts with how to, and how to architect, how to write like an architect, how to draw like an architect, stuff like that. So if you have time, or whenever you have the opportunity, you can follow this channel and watch the other videos. But for now, we are going to see how to write like an architect, and you can just play this video and try to imitate all these letters exactly like he is doing. So it will be very nice. You will see that his lettering is slightly different what we have seen, not the basic lettering, but he has a very nice style of his own.
Today we'll learn how to write like an architect. The basic drafting tool for an architect when working by hand is a parallel rule. You can also use a T-square. I'll be using an Ames lettering guide to create the lines for the lettering. First,
He's
we're going
doing the same like we did. First, he's drawing very thin and gray lines just for guiding, just for limiting his lettering, so that he can be able to place his letters according to those guiding lines. And he's using a tool like this. If you can find, and if you have the money, I advise you to get one of these.
Create our horizontal lines using the lettering guide. The guide has a variety of spacing options to create just about any combination.
Yeah, he's just creating rows with these guiding lines, and the gaps between the rows, between the lines, is actually the height of your lettering, will be the height of your
You're looking for. I will also be using a small triangle. I've added tape to this one for ink lettering to avoid smearing. I'll also be using a 0.5mm Pentel drafting pencil and Papermate Flare pen for letters. I've created a small grid here to give me some guidance when I lay out the letters. I'd say the most important thing to remember about hand lettering.
Remember that we were looking for nice proportions. And he's going to do the lettering freehand. First, he is creating a grid to keep those nice proportions. And he's drawing vertical guiding lines too. We didn't do that, but if you want, you can, when you are practicing, you can do that so that he can use these all vertical and horizontal and vertical lines as the guides, and with the equal width and height, he will get nice proportions when he is finished with the lettering.
Is that your letters need to seem animated while still appearing orderly and neat. I think this is achieved by using a few conventions. For example, you'll notice the letters have some amount of incompleteness. The second diagonal on the A does not follow all the way to the guideline. The bottom of the B or D isn't complete. The bottom line on the E starts in front of the vertical. The second thing is that all the horizontals in the letters are drawn by hand, not using the parallel rule. They all sit at a slight angle, making them dynamic and yet uniform. You'll also notice that I use a ruler for all vertical lines. Lastly, when you're making your O's, Q's, C's, G's, even 8s and 9s, the letters and numbers are simply combinations of semicircles. Even the letter S is made the same way.
You can try to imitate his style, or you can try to create your own style. I'm sure that he started with the same basics, but in time, with lots of practice, he created his own style. As he said in the video earlier, it's a bit animated. All these letters are a bit animated. So you can do the same. I advise you to do the same. And when we are finished with the upper part of our heading, we need to move to the bottom part. And as you remember, we just drew this horizontal line and we had a nice rectangle here. Now we are supposed to divide it more. First, we need to create a square here. This height was 22 millimeters. So you need to draw a vertical line here, again with 22 millimeter gap, so that you will have a nice square here. Let's look at a bit closely. And then after you draw this vertical line, you are going to leave a 68 millimeter gap here, just an empty rectangle. And you will divide this right rectangle into these three parts. First, you need to measure 11 millimeter gap and then draw this horizontal line. And you need to measure 45 millimeter gap from left to right and draw this vertical line, so that you will get a nice square, an empty rectangle, and three more rectangles on the right part here. And with, again, our thin lines, you need to create your borders for your lettering. Inside this square here, first you need to leave 5 millimeter gap and then measure 12 millimeters and then 5 millimeter gap again. So you will get two vertical thin lines, and do the same for the horizontal direction. Just leave 5 millimeter gap and draw your first horizontal line, leave 12 millimeter gap and draw your fourth and last horizontal line. So you will get these guides here, and you are going to create rows on this right side. You need to leave a 4 millimeter gap, and then they are mixed here. 4 millimeter gap, 3 millimeter gap, and 4 millimeter gap. Again, 4, 3, 4. And this 3 millimeter gap on the middle will be your row to place your lettering. You are going to write inside in the middle. and here and here. 4 millimeter gap, 4 millimeter gap, 3 millimeter letters, height letters. And this is what you are going to write in these gaps. On this left side square, you are going to put our group number. You are going to draw a big G and 4, that's our group number. We are group 4. Here, you need to write your number, your name and surname, the date of your homework. This is the header of your first homework. And here on the right side, you need to write homework 1, your first homework. This is the date for your homework, and you need to draw our group number. But again, please do not draw a thick line like this. You are looking for a normal thickness. You don't need to do it thick like this. Okay, you can just, with your guides here, you can just draw a regular G. You don't have to do it thick on purpose. Okay, just draw a regular G. You don't want to do a thick G. Okay. Before we move on to hand sketching, I want to share 2 more things with you. This is the first thing is creating inclined lines.
Eğer 45 derece açılı bir çizgi yapmak istiyorsam bu gönyemin bu kenarını kullanacağım. Çizeceğim. Bunu tersine çevirip bu yönde bir çizgi oluşturabilirim. Eğer 30 ya da 60 derecelik bir açıya ihtiyacım varsa öbür gönyeye geçiyorum.
You remember that we bought 2 types of set squares. One is a 45 degree angle. The other has a 30 degree and 60 degree angles. So if you want to create a 45 degree inclined line on your paper, you need to use the first set square. And if you want to create 30 degree or 60 degree inclined lines on your paper, you need to use the second set square.
Böyle çektiğim zaman,
yeah, when you draw it like this, you get an angle here. Here, you draw this line, and you have another line here, your horizontal line. So this angle here is 60 degrees.
Şurada oluşan derece 60 derece, burası 30 derece.
Yeah, and here you get a 30 degree angle right on the top. You draw this line and you have this vertical line, and this is 30 degrees.
Derece ya da bu şekilde çevirip böyle de yapmak mümkün. Bunu olabildiğince çok tekrarlayıp artık bir alışkanlık haline getirmek gerekecek sizin için.
And the last video, we'll talk about cleaning your paper because as we talked before, when you are drawing, the lead in the middle part of your pencil leaves little lead particles on the paper. That's how you create the lines. But those particles, they tend to attach underneath the squares or your hand here. So when you move your hand or when you move your squares over the paper, those tiny attached particles start to dirty your paper. You don't want that. So there is a trick for that, to avoid that.
Yaptıkça bu kurşun parçaları, kağıt üzerinde iz bırakan kurşun parçaları gönyenizin ya da tel cetvelinizin altına yapışıp bir süre sonra kağıdın kirlenmesine, şurada başımıza geldi. Bakın bu gönye kirli altı. Bu T cetveli ve gönye pardon. Bunlar kirli. Böyle gezdirdikçe üzerinde kağıdın burada kirlenmesine sebep olur. Ve bir süre sonra kağıdımızı kötü vaziyete getirir. O yüzden ara ara bunun altını ve gönyenin burasını şeyle silmek, ıslak mendille sonra da kuru bir peçeteyle silmek, bu minlerin gitmesini sağlamak iyi olabilir. Temiz tutmak iyi olabilir.
Yeah, if you will be careful with these tricks, with these clues, then you will get a very nice drawing.